think we're about 70.
Mm.
And I think they took 10.
Yeah.
I think 10 or 11. So yeah, I was unfortunately part of the 7 that was let go. So what they did is they actually eliminated us and left the others whom got accepted in that room. And they took us to another room where, where we were debriefed about our results, that we did not progress, perhaps we should try again next year. It is quite painful, Dr. D. And
I can imagine.
they were, out of those 17, it was 3 guys and 14 girls.
Yes.
So it was 2 black guys, 1 white guy. So
Yes.
I knew that, what Dr. T explained this, that during final days, about ethnic balance, they are balancing the ethnicity, gender, they balance everything there.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself when I walked in the room, I said, okay, it's only us 3 guys. It means that I'm competing with these guys. And when I saw that it's a black guy and a white guy, I thought that, what, this white guy, let's leave him alone. Me and this black guy must go head to head today. Yeah, no. And then may the best man win. And he won. What can I do?
Friends, let me welcome you. I'm so excited. I've got a gentleman here. He'll introduce himself. Kamo, just a quick intro. If you can just give a background of who's Kamo for those who don't know you. Welcome and over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. T. I'm forever grateful for this opportunity. My name is Kamohelo Mukgeseng. I rise from Kronstadt in the Free State. And yeah, that is where I completed my matric and, decided to further my studies. It was back in 2016 when I matriculated. And yeah, like many others, I was confused, Dr. T, with what course should I take, which direction should I go, and something in me just said psychology. Let's choose psychology. So I chose psychology at UFS, the University of Free State, and during that period, we are running around and looking for schools. So I had also applied at other universities as well. But, I did not get accepted. I had to do a university access program. I did it through UFS. They call it UPP. Some say UAP, some say UPP, University Preparation Program. So I had to do that program for a year.
It's like a bridging course.
Yes, 100%. So it's like a bridging course, and then you get admission to do a bachelor. So it's a higher certificate in terms of NQS. So I started with that, and that's where I got introduced to psychology. I took introduction to psychology, and I started learning more about psychology, but I was
Which year
not
was that?
interested. It was 2017 after my matric, yes.
Okay. So you finished matric in 2016, then you got into first year 2017.
I got into the University Access Program 2017. First year I did it 20.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, that is when I first encountered, psychology, and the different categories in our introduction module, where they give you a brief introduction to psychology, what it is, what it focuses on. And I remember that is where I learned about the different fields. But yeah, however, I was still not that interested, when I went on to do my first year, my second year, and my third year.
Mm.
And throughout doing my first year, second year, third year, that is when I started knowing more information now as to what are the demands. Okay, there's an honors program or there's a master's program. Okay, how many people do they take in honors? How many do they take in masters? So I started gaining that insight into the program. And there was a lecturer who was also telling us about voluntary work, that we need voluntary work and so forth. But I was never, that interested again. I thought since my marks were also okay, I was not failing or anything. I thought this is going to be easy for me. I'm one person who's always been confident that no, I'm going to get into honors and eventually into masters. But without preparing, without, putting in that work, I then started at the Gateway program. I did a Gateway program where we were advising first years on integrating into the university environment. So that was a good volunteering opportunity for me that I did in my senior year when I was doing second year and third year. So I started with that, mentoring first years, just teaching them more about, the university environment, where to find their classes, where to do plagiarism check, just the basics, insights, where's the clinic, where do you find the psychologists? And yeah, I went through that program and I had not reflected on it. I just did it for, for fun. It was never something that I knew would work for me in later on, that I can write about in my autobiography. I was not thinking of that at that time. And yeah, Dr. T, the plan was get a degree and go and get a permanent job. That was quite tough. That was quite tough to.
Yeah. So you finished your degree which year?
I finished in 2020. I was doing final year. Yeah.
2020. So you did it 2020. So you did it in record time?
Yeah, in the 3 years.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you actually didn't know about psychology. Nobody actually informed you about it. You just felt to take psychology as a program and you find yourself inside psychology. So before we get into that, because I remember, I was telling you, I think you are the person I spoke the most on LinkedIn. Actually, I even felt that, no, I know you a lot more than anybody on LinkedIn, because you spoke to me since, I don't know if you saw our chat, since 2023, when the channel was starting. How did you come to know about the channel? Because it was not as popular as it is now.
I'm not sure how I found the channel, but it's just searching, on
YouTube.
On YouTube, yes. So I found a lot of channels. There was a lady also in somewhere in the Western Cape. I'm not sure if she was still is or something, but she also helped me, Boni. Yeah. So I started to see videos of Boni, who's
Clinical.
Under the NGO, mental matters or health matters.
Yes.
Mind matters, actually. Yeah. So I got introduced to her channel and I started also looking further, that is when I stumbled across Life in its Fullest, and I thought, Life in its Fullest, what a, what a good name.
You are the only one who knows the name of the channel. It shows how old you have been on the
Yeah, Dr. T, I encountered the channel through just searching in YouTube. And yeah, I got to see your videos. You mostly started not having guests. It was just you speaking about the profession, and I saw that your channel actually goes way back, and there's other content on your channel that I haven't went to. I was too focused on the psychology side. I didn't know that there's also a section of biblical studies, Bible studies, and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not see that part, but yeah, I went through the videos and I thought, this is interesting. I think it was either in 2022 or in 2023 when I texted you while watching the videos.
2023.
Yeah, I thought, this is interesting, and I searched you on LinkedIn. I was like, who's Dr. Debo Hosebe? Who's this guy? And he's speaking so fluently as well. And I thought, let me search you on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
I searched you on LinkedIn and I was like, wow, educational psychologist, UP. And I thought, no, man, this person, I want to walk within, I want to walk their footsteps, I want to see myself in a master's
Yeah.
program. And during that 2023, it was when I was an EA, an educator assistant.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes. So while working as an educator assistant, that's when the EdPsych came to me and said, perhaps this is a field for you because you're already working with learners. Um, I was working at a school called Forwards Primary, and it had a LSN class for learners with specific learning needs. So I was working in that class. I think it was a class of 12 learners. And I got that experience of, working with learners with specific needs,
Mm.
along with the teacher, of course. So this sparked my curiosity, for psychology. I remember the principal, the principal was excited to have me. He said, you
Mm.
have an honors. I had already done my honors then because I did my honors in 2022.
Okay.
So 2021 was just a year of, you know, graduating and looking for a job and so forth. But because I couldn't secure a job during that year, I decided to enroll for my honors
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah.
So yeah, while I was working at the school, the principal was so curious to know more about psychology. And he actually thought that I'm a psychologist, So
Ah,
we are in his office and he's asking me to, do therapy with the kids, assess the kids. And I was shaking my head to say,
I'm not there. I still want to be one.
with my honors, I cannot
Yeah.
um, really perform therapeutic interventions or even psychometrics.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge for him to understand because he thought, you are qualified, you even have an honors. Yeah, it was that challenging part that I have to navigate to say to him, no, actually, I won't be able to intervene psychologically.
Yeah.
It
But I
was it
think
was
that's the part that interested me with you because when you first text me, uh, and I agree with you, maybe you got fascinated by EdSite because you said you wanted to be educational and you were asking me about educational. And I thought you were going to follow educational psychology path because you're already an assistant, educator assistant. So how did you then how did things change or what happened for you to then end up in counseling psychology?
I think during that year, 2023, is when I
Mm.
started to apply for masters. I remember 2022 during my honors year, I couldn't apply because of the pressure that I had. I decided that, perhaps let me apply next year. I'll have more time, you know. So as I was working as a EA, I started with EdPsych. So I applied for EdPsych that year. And I said, I want to go to UP.
Mm,
I
mm,
want to specifically go because Dr. T was at UP.
mm,
So I looked at the requirements and I was sending you the requirements to say, Dr. T, do I qualify here? Because
mm,
they were vague. I feel like I was not understanding, rather, let me say, of what are the
mm,
requirements. Do they want a teaching qualification or not?
mm.
Do they want the PGCE or just an honors and an undergraduate? So it was so confusing for me, but I applied
Mm.
anyway during that year, during 2023.
So you
So
only applied to UP?
2023, I did 2 applications.
Okay.
I went for UP at Psych,
Yeah.
and then I applied for UNISA. And at UNISA, I went for clinical psych.
Okay.
So I think
And
it
then the
was,
third one?
yeah, those are the only 2 that I
Oh,
applied
you only
to
applied for 2. Okay.
in 2023. Yeah.
Okay. And did they
At
respond?
no response, Dr. T, no
So,
invite. I thought, what's going on? That is when I sent you my academic record. Dr. T, go, man, look, look like what's going on?
yeah.
And I remember you saying to me, no, you are on the verge of 70, so so you are on the right path. Something is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
I noticed that, okay, it's my autobio. You know,
Mm.
the way that I had applied, I had not taken time to complete my applications. So I thought to myself that um, since the contract ended for an educator assistant, I started also looking for other jobs. And through that rejection that I was not invited for any interviews in 2023, I started, going into the job markets again and saying, let's try to get something. And luckily, by the grace of God, Dr. T, I got an internship. I did the internship at SAPS. So I did
Okay.
undergraduate. My undergraduate was psychology and criminology.
Okay.
Hence, I was able to go into subs and do crime stats and crime analysis under a division that's called CIMAC. We
Mm.
work with crime information and analyzing the crime information, where the state is going, um, road maps, where is crime happening the most, perhaps the team can go there, and all of
Mm.
that. We're really doing work on the ground for SAPS, providing the stats for station level.
So were you at the station or at the national? Where were you? At the station.
Yes, I was at a station in Velcom.
But you were
Um,
just doing like data research. You were not like going out with a gun and arresting people.
no.
Oh, okay. You were
I was
just in
not.
the office.
Yeah, I was doing mostly the office job, presentations to the management team on the stats. I mean, I was working under um, the leadership, of course, of a colonel, a captain, a sergeant, and a warrant, whom were
Uh,
supervising me, just teaching me more about, the system and their experiences.
okay. Okay. Yeah, and I must say, I mean, your marks looks good. People must know that you are not taking chance. I'm looking at your academic record. Your lowest was 65. That's the lowest mark you had. And you've got distinction. Yeah, no. People, please don't think we're taking chances here. When a person is complaining with a 61% average, yeah, no, these marks are very impressive, people. I will not mislead you, say there's opportunity if it's not there. I will tell you that I will tell you the truth. So this one's no, I could see you are just on the verge. Let me see. Hey, the undergraduate were on fire, this one. How many
I
distinctions? 1, 2, 3. Jesus. Yeah, no. These were marks. There are marks and there are marks. There are others. They're just marks. There's nothing can say. They're just marks. We have got marks. There are others. Even if you are not there, they speak on your behalf.
yeah,
So this kind of marks can speak for you guys. You need marks like that have got a mouth and a voice. They can speak for you even if you are not present. So the marks I'm looking at here for Kamo, they can talk. They've got a voice. The other marks, they've no voice. If you are not there, they can't speak for you. So make sure, guys, if you're applying this year, your marks have got a voice. Don't come with the voiceless marks here and try to get into the master's program. So yeah, and I also gave you an email of the lady from UP, the professor. Did she reply to you?
the email from the lady at UP.
Yeah, I remember when you asked me about UP, I gave you a name of one of the HOD. Did she reply? Ah, that's
No,
great. She
no,
never replied.
they did not reply.
How?
Or did they reply? I think it's a long time ago, Dr. T. I think
She
I'm
should
not
have
too.
replied because she was the, I think at that time she was the head of the psychology master's program.
Hmm.
So, but anyway, you applied for both UP and UNISA and you never got any feedback. And your analysis was that your autobiography was the issue.
Yeah.
So, did you get that fixed? And then you applied again in 2024.
Yes, in 2024, I remember I was finishing up the internship at SAPS, and I wanted to improve my autobio, So I went to some of the videos you have on the channel on autobio. There are a few people that have broken it down, autobio.
Mm,
And I think Lebogang did when she read a paragraph of her autobio. It was amazing.
yeah.
Um, I
People
think
that don't
Arnold,
do autobios, please take Kamu's advice. Go to Lebu's video.
yeah, Lebu, no.
Okay, Lebu and
I
so
think Arnold. So I think Arnold
yes,
also.
Arnold also did something on autobio.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went through those videos and looked for more information on autobio, you know, and
Yeah.
I applied. Since you said to me that my average is not the problem, I
Yeah.
thought, no, let me leave the marks things alone because a lot of people struggle and say, they don't have the marks, and that's quite challenging, when you don't
Mm.
have marks and then you have to um, apply again for what do they call it when you want to
Uh,
increase your marks?
upgrade your marks.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
a
So you
process.
believe me when I say the marks were fine. I'm like, no, my marks are fine.
Yes, you said that, Dr. T, that no, you're on the verge of 70, you are fine,
Yeah.
And I also listened carefully to Arnold. He's a good friend of mine whom I texted after having watched these videos to say, no man, wow, what a story that you have.
Yeah.
And I spoke to him and he said, my average is 70, And I said, you have a 70. I was like, no, no. My average is not a problem because he was
Yeah.
invited almost everywhere,
Yeah.
So I looked at him and he really inspired me, Dr. T,
Mm.
to, apply for a lot of universities as well.
Yes.
The
Yes.
way that he was applying, and I compared it to me, the way that
The
I'm
two
applying,
universities.
and I saw that
You don't stand a chance. Yeah.
there's a huge difference between how he wants it and how I want it, how bad I want it. So,
Yeah.
but that was later on in 2024. that I had, communicated with Arnold, because I think his video came out late 2024. And yeah, I approached 2024, and I think I did 4 applications this time around. Yeah, I think I did 4 applications for the 2024.
Okay. And where?
UNISA again.
Okay.
UJ.
Okay.
UP again.
Yeah.
For the EDHE. And
Okay.
then the 4th one, I think it was VITS. Was the 4th one VITS? It was VITS
So
or
it was vets or?
UFS, yeah.
So at UP, did you only do ed psych at UP, or were they all ed psych? Or was it ed psych and clinical?
It was EdPsych, clinical, and also a counseling, because I thought, what do I have to lose if I'm applying for everything? And I've always kept an open mind to say, why can't you be an EdPsych? Why can't you be a counseling psych? Why can't you be a clean psych? And I thought of this, that you are disqualifying yourself even before. It's like that quote that you like. Let the panel decide if you are fit for clinical counseling or ed. That I don't decide that. So I applied. UJ applied for clinical. UP I applied for ed psych,
Ed psych.
and then VITS I applied for their counseling, the MEC.
Yeah. So you wanted to be a psychologist. It don't matter whether you are in clinical, whether you
Yes.
are in clinical, you are educational, you are counseling, as long as you can get selected, okay?
I think I kept an open mind, Dr. T, because I saw a lot of gray area when I was reading more in terms of scope. I saw a lot of gray area in terms of the scope of clean psych and ed. In that, we are all giving therapy. The question is, which therapy can an ed psych do that a counseling psych can do, and vice versa. And I saw a lot of gray area, and I even saw it in practice, Dr. T, because actually forgot to mention this, that during that 2024, I decided that let me apply for psychometry as well. Because it's a great opportunity as well to get that exposure. So that was the 5th application that I did. I applied for psychometry at
At
Stellenbosch.
UJ or Stellenbosch.
I applied
Okay.
at Stellenbosch, and I applied at Nelson Mandela for psychometry. Because at UJ, I had already applied for clinical, so I didn't want that, multiple applications and all of that.
So then what was the outcome for
So
2024?
I decided that, 2024, I got accepted for psychometry. It came first. The psychometry acceptance came first around May, June, and they were accepting me for their July to December intake.
That's where?
At Stellenbosch.
Is it? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that application, how it went, it was a motivational letter and just filling in an application form. And then from there, we did a online interview with the coordinator at Stellenbosch. So I did that, and then I qualified for their psychometric test that you have to write. And then I did that psychometric test, and then after that, I got the acceptance to come do the psychometry.
So the interview was just the one person who interviewed you?
Yes. At
Oh,
Stellenbosch, it was one person who interviewed me, who was our lecturer for the whole 6 months. So she's the one
oh.
who
So you
interviewed
only
me.
had one interview.
Yes, for psychometry, it was one interview and then a psychometric test that
Okay.
you have to write.
And then for the master selection?
For the master selection, I only got invited to UJ, and that was in, I think, September or August or September. Yeah, UJ sent me an invite, and they were the only university to invite me
Okay.
during that year.
Okay. And did you go?
Yes, I had to make a plan and go all the way from Cape Town to Joburg for my interview and go back to to Cape Town to go and continue my practical, because I was doing a practical in Cape Town.
Mm.
And yeah, Stellenbosch is just 40 minutes away, and we'd go to classes during the weekend, and during the
Okay.
weekday we are at our practical sites.
So 2024, the last part of it, you were basically not 2024, 2025. The last part of it, you were basically doing a psychometry program with Stellenbosch.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
then that's when you went for that. How did the interview go at UJ?
The interview at UJ, it was no, it was 2024, Dr. T.
Oh, yes, 2024. Oh, they accepted you the same year for the last half of the year.
Yeah, for the last half of the year. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. And how were the interview?
The interview for psychometry.
No, no, for UJ, for the program at UJ.
Yeah, the interview. Yeah,
It was an interview.
it was an interview. It was my first master's interview. I think I went in without knowing some of the expectations.
Yeah.
Um, I
But
went
you had
in.
the channel. You were here every day.
I had the channel and everything, but it's my
Or you
first
were
time.
those ones you were watching while you are cooking. Not focused.
No, Dr. T, the channel, I used to watch it in all fashions.
Yeah.
All fashions.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember I would watch it while perhaps I'm about to go to sleep, and I would
Yeah.
listen to it for that 30 minutes while I'm trying to sleep. And then when I
Yeah.
wake up around the AMs, I just hear
Yeah.
your voice saying something. It will stick with me. Whatever I had when I woke up around 2 a.m., that would
Yeah.
stick. Dr. T said this, but hey, let me go back to sleep.
Ah, gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
yes, please continue.
I went to UJ 2024, and they made us sign a non-disclosure and everything, that
Yeah.
we mustn't talk about some of the questions or the activities that we did there. But
Yeah.
my experience with UJ, considering it was my first interview, it was quite nerve-wracking, Dr. T. I was nervous. Um, I was shaking in my interviews,
Ah,
and I wanted to be confident because I have no other choice but to be confident. If I show my anxiety, then that perhaps won't be a good trait to portray. So I thought, no,
mm,
no, let's be calm. Let's be calm. Let's look at the panel members and let's talk to them. And yeah, I answered some of the questions wrong. When you think
mm.
about it after that, No, no. What you were talking about is an ethical problem, not an ethical dilemma. One of the biggest mistakes when they ask
Sure.
about ethical dilemmas, we are mentioning ethical problems. Yeah, I think that is one of the blunders that I did in my session. I would say also with groups, Dr. T, it's quite important to be active in a group interview. You know, um, my advice for group interviews, because I went through quite a few group interviews so far, but if it's only one group interview and you only have that 40 minutes, you have to stand out or make an impression or something. you know I remember you once said in one of your videos that when you see that people are not answering and are not engaging, perhaps take on that question. Let's say you just got in the room, the first question is posed. you know it would benefit you to be the first person to speak for the day. The first day here is your voice. And if we are 10 in the group, it's always wise to speak and then let everyone else speak before you speak again, because we are avoiding speaking more than others. Someone, and you learn this through interviews, that some people, they are just talking and not giving other people a chance. And I learned that from the channel as well, that if that is happening, perhaps point it out and say, no, look, I'm noticing that we are not all going to get an opportunity here. And those are literally your words.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm noticing what's happening.
Yeah.
So you are not just an observer. And I think that speaking last, being the last person to speak, Dr. T, can be daunting. You are the last person to speak, and perhaps someone says, Kamohelo,
Everybody has stolen your words.
everyone has stolen your words. That's why I don't want to be last.
Yeah.
Either I'm first or I'm second. I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah.
Along those that are probably gonna take on the question while not understanding it fully. You are speaking about the question again before you answer it, so you are still processing it. I would rather do that than be the last person. Be the
Or
last
not
person.
get an opportunity at all.
Yeah, and people bounce off you, Dr. T. Someone would just say, Kamohelo, I'm seeing that you are quite reserved. Can you perhaps tell us more about your views on this topic? Would love to also learn from you. The point went to that person and not me. He's a minor.
So you rather be the one who does that.
I'd rather be the one, because I noticed someone who did that, né? And I saw them do that to me. So this has happened. This is a real experience. So I was quite reserved that day. I was thinking, you're thinking,
Yeah.
what should I, you know? And this girl said, Kamohelo, I'm seeing that you are quite reserved.
Your speech disappear.
Now I'm looking at her like, how dare you point me out?
Trying to construct my sentence.
So I feel like that affects you, Dr. T. The less you speak, the more someone might comment on that, more especially if they are watching the channel. They might comment and say, look, man, you need to be quiet today. Can you perhaps walk us through that? You are there like Oh. So yeah,
Like, can you leave me alone, please? Leave
can
me
you
alone.
can you not talk about me in our session? Talk about even yourself or the panel. Talk to the panel. So yeah, I learned that from her. I was like, oh, okay. The point went to her, and I didn't get called the following day. So I thought of
Mm.
that. You speaking last in your sessions, people are going to bounce over you, and they are going to get points through you.
Yeah.
People are showing their leadership qualities through you. Yeah, selection. And yeah, that I learned that from my interview at UJ, my only interview again for the year 2024. So I thought that, this thing of me talking last, it's not going to help me. I need to be more active. And I saw that in other sessions that happened during the 2025 year, which we'll get to, I saw that manifest that, oh, okay, you can even see the people that are called back the following day. That, oh, okay, this one is called back. And I remember she said something quite smart. Oh, this one was, oh, now you notice these qualities of your
People who
peers.
get selected.
Yeah. So I always went to the channel, Dr. T. I always went to the channel to just hear, man. How are these people speaking? What
Mm.
are they saying?
Oh, those who get selected, how are they different from us?
Yes, those who get selected, how are they different from us?
Yeah.
And that's why I went to Arnold straight because when I saw his video and I was listening to his story, I thought, no man, this person speaks like me a little bit.
Mm.
He
Mm.
he he has the same haircut as me, Dr. T. What's going on? I need motivation, and I can only motivate myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, these people have this haircut. Um, Arnold, he loves soccer. I love soccer. Dr. T also.
They don't speak Queen's English.
Yes, they are not even right, man. These people are posing. When someone poses and says, yeah, I think that, it tells you that this person before they spoke, it's not someone who's asked the question and then jumps the gun,
Yeah.
but someone who says, looks down, shows their facial expression to show that curiosity that, okay, I think that, and then you
They
approach it.
reflect about the questions before they answer.
Yeah,
They're not just impulsive.
they are not impulsive, yes. So I looked at him, I was like, no, man, Arnold has a 70. He was invited almost everywhere. What is my issue? What is
Yeah.
my. So I told him, I said to him, he's a good friend of mine. I said to
Yeah.
him, what? You did 10 applications. I know. I'm going
Mm.
to do more applications than you. And he was like, what are you serious? Are you sure?
Yeah.
So yeah, 2025 came and I was running for those applications, Dr. T,
Mm.
waiting just for a university to open in anticipation.
Mm.
And I had just completed my psychometry.
Mm.
And the 2025 February, I wrote the board exam. After that is when I started now to, focus a bit on applications since I already had my board exam and everything. So I started.
Congrats, man. So you are a psychometrist now.
I'm a psychometrist.
Wow, 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 wow. From teaching assistant to a psychometrist.
Yes,
Wow. From people bouncing on you. Showing the leadership skill through you. Wow, man. Congrats, man. Congrats. So by the end of 2025, 2024 rather, you are a psychometrist. So what did you do then in 2025? Did you practice or what?
In 2025, after writing my board exam,
Yeah.
constantly, looking for a job and all of that. But it was quite challenging to secure a full-time job. You know, some part-time jobs would come to assess learners at the school, but it's not something that's consistent.
Mm. Mm.
So I was marketing myself and all of that in my community. I tried to do a speech in front of the grade 12s just to guide them on careers,
Mm.
which skills are in demand and all of that. So I did that during 2025 and just trying to, volunteer more as applying for I'm applying for the 2026 financial year in 2025.
So you never tried the practice route?
No, I never tried the practice route. It was something that I wanted to work towards, but I thought I had so much hope in myself in getting in for masters. So I thought if I'm focusing this side, perhaps I'm not going to be passionate this side. How do I balance this? Perhaps let me join an already established practice and help the lady with just the psychometric assessments and all of that. So it was kind of challenging to find my feet. Yeah.
And then so you did some work for people already who had practice, basically.
Yeah.
And then you focus also more on the application, and you said you wanted to apply more than Arnold. So what happened?
Hey, I didn't get to. No, it's too many applications. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah.
10 is a lot. I've heard someone who said they did 13, but I only got to 9.
9. That's still a lot.
Yeah. I went in.
You tried. You're 90% close to hitting the 10.
Yeah.
So 9, which institutions are this?
UNISA again.
Yeah.
UJ again.
Okay.
UFS.
Okay.
Sefako, SMU.
Yeah.
University of Cape Town.
Okay.
I did UL as well.
Okay.
Then I did NW Poch campus. And
Okay.
then I did WITS
Okay.
and
UP.
UP. Yeah. I'm forgetting the most important
How
one.
can you forget UP?
Yes.
So you had, and what did you apply for to all of this?
I did not apply for educational this time. So I did 50% counseling, 50% clinical.
Okay. Why did you leave educational?
I looked at it and I thought perhaps they want an education qualification, perhaps they want teaching experience. Some universities were quite clear on that. WITS only
Yes,
said WITS only said education experience or teaching experience, not
yes,
qualification.
that's correct.
So I thought, what if they don't invite me because I'm not a teacher and all of that? And I
Yeah.
also thought the same for UP. I was like, maybe that's why they haven't been inviting me. When you apply to a place that,
Oh,
they,
yes, yes.
yeah, perhaps change the
Okay.
program or something. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So, did you get any invite for this year? for 2025 with the 9 applications?
Yes, Dr. T, I got 4.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Now you are seeing that there's a difference now.
yeah. There's a huge difference from one
For
interview.
which universities?
The 4.
Yeah.
The 4 is UJ again,
Okay, UJ.
UNISA.
Okay, wow. Unisa now came back to you finally.
Yeah,
They're
I
like,
think
hey,
they.
this person has been troubling us, man. Let's give him a chance and hear what he has to say.
Yeah, and I got invited for
UP.
UP and SMU.
Oh, wow. Which one was the first one?
The first one was UNISA.
Oh, and how did it go?
Yeah, UNISA, by far, I would say it was the best experience for me. I think it
Wow.
prepared me quite well,
Wow.
because
Hi, friends. Just a quick break. I know you're enjoying this program, but I just want to answer some few questions about people who still want guidance on how to access the book. You know what I usually recommend? That make sure that you get an ebook. An ebook, you can get it on Amazon and follow their process. Just click on the link below this video and then follow their process and you'll be able to get the book. I like the ebook process with Amazon because it is instant. You buy the book, you get it immediately on your gadget. But if you are in South Africa and you want to get a hard copy posted directly to your home address without leaving your house, all you have to do, there's a link below this video from our printers who were kind enough to help us with distributing the book. All you have to do, click on the link, fill the form, and they will be able to communicate with you on how to get the book. Usually it takes about 72 hours to get the book to you, and many people have been getting their book, so don't be left behind. See the links below this video on how to get the books, whether on Amazon or for it to be posted to your home address. So don't waste any time. Many people are getting the book, so don't remain behind. Make sure you get your copy while there is still time. Don't wait for the last minute, because the book will actually share with you on how to also prepare for the application, what you have to do, tips that are necessary even before the selection process starts. So make sure that you get the book as quick as possible. Let's go back and enjoy the program.
UNISA was quite nice for me, considering that it was my first interview for the year and that I had reflected so much on the previous rejection by UJ. So going into UNISA, I come in now with credit that I'm a psychometrist,
Yeah.
And however, I want to say this, that people get intimidated in interviews when other professionals are also there. Your social workers also want to be psychs. Someone who already has a PhD in something else, has an honors in psychology, and they want to go into psychology. People get intimidated during the sessions when we introduce ourselves. So, and when you hear that social worker is a registered counselor, this one is a psychometrist. So people get, intimidated in a way, and I think it's not a good way to approach it, but because immediately when you walk into those rooms, into the selection rooms, your marks must be left outside there, because we are not going to be discussing marks. We are not going
Yes.
to be discussing psychometry,
Yeah.
or any other field. So I think people must not get intimidated. They must just stick to their plan and just go for it and be optimistic about it. I remember there was this guy at UP who said to me, no, I'm a doctor. What do you mean you are a doctor? Doctor is
In
what
what?
field? Which field are you doing? You know.
Yeah.
And then he told me that he did developmental studies, but he also, you know, did their honors in psychology. And I thought, oh, okay, you know, this person did their masters and PhD in another subject. You know, they cannot um, defeat me when it comes to psychology. They cannot
They're,
defeat
they're,
me.
they're not experts in psychology. They're experts in their development, whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to think of the interviews as, you know, we stand linear, you know. We stand all on the same level, no matter the experience. It's a matter of what do you say in the sessions. So, yeah, UNISA, it was 4 days. No, it was 3 days actually. It was Monday, and then Tuesday we didn't go, and then it was Wednesday and Thursday. So Thursday was the last day. So I'm thinking perhaps on this Tuesday, maybe it
So
was
all of you are invited all the days. They're not cutting every day, like at SMU.
no, they are cutting every day at UNISA.
Also,
So
you progressed through all the stages.
yeah, I think that's why I'm saying it was a nice experience for me because
Wow.
I managed to progress until the last stage, the last day.
Wow, 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 wow. And after that progress, at what day did you get to know that you didn't make the final cut? Was it the last day or sometime after?
At the end of each day, they send you an invite to come the following day
Hmm.
or to come or on a Wednesday. Because I remember we went on a Monday, and then on a Tuesday they sent us emails to say come on a Wednesday, and then
Hmm.
on that Wednesday, that night, Wednesday night, around 9 or 10, very late in the afternoon, they sent us an invite to come for the final panel.
Which you went.
Yeah, which I
Okay.
went to,
Yeah.
and yeah, we were, how many were we? 17. I think we were about 70.
Hmm.
And I think they took 10.
Yeah.
I think it was 10 or 11. So yeah, I was unfortunately part of the 7 that was let go. And
And
yeah,
when did you know that you didn't make it? Did you know the same day or later?
the same day. So what they did is they actually eliminated us and left the others whom got accepted in that room. And they took us to another room
Hmm.
where, where we were debriefed about
Mm.
our results, that we did not progress, perhaps we should try again next year. Yeah,
You're waiting for the speech to end. You're like, hey, leave us to go.
Dr. G, at that time I was mad, Dr. G, but I didn't want to show that I'm angry. So I just
Yeah.
said, oh, we're not going forward. Okay. And they were, it is quite painful, Dr. G. And
I can imagine.
they were, out of those 17, it
Yeah.
was 3 guys
Yeah.
and 14 girls.
Yes.
So it was 2 black guys, 1 white guy. So I
Yes.
knew that, what Dr. T explained this, that during final days, about ethnic balance, they are balancing the ethnicity, gender, they balance everything there.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself when I walked in the room, I said, okay, it's only us 3 guys. It means that I'm competing with these guys. And when I saw that it's a black guy and a white guy, I thought that, you know what, this white guy, let's leave him alone. Me and this black guy must go head to head today. Yeah, no. And then may the best man win, and he
Yeah.
won. What can I do?
So, so they took the one of the black guy. The white guy, did they take him?
Yeah, they took one black guy, one white guy.
So your analysis was correct.
My analysis was correct that it's between me and this guy. They
Yeah,
must.
like yeah, like Dr. Tu was right. I see the balancing here.
You see, even with the girls, they
Yeah,
also dance with the women, Dr. T. They
yeah,
take, one Indian, one white, one black. That's really the dynamics of when you
yeah,
go for final day. You just need to tell yourself that, they must, if they want to balance, they must do it through me. They must
yeah.
balance.
But you see, I think that also helps because you see now even your planning was very good because it actually aligned with what I spoke about previously. That happens, but that happens at the final stage, or actually towards the end. It's not so common when you are starting, but
Yeah,
I think as we go on, usually they try not to lose the balance in the process. They'll
yeah,
always make sure that the balance is consistent until the end. It's just that the reality is that in psychology there are more women than male, but also there are more female who apply than males. So ultimately, we are still going to have a class with either one male or two males at the most. Uh, it's not always common that we have three males. I mean,
yeah.
at our time, I think we had three males, but that time I actually studied part time. And I had one in my class who were two males, one Afrikaner and one and me. But I mean, the gentleman ended up dropping out, you know.
Ish.
So you imagine he took somebody's space and dropped out. But it's tough. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, I think he was old at that time and he was married, so I was still young, so I didn't have all the marriage issues that comes with studying. Sometimes I think
yeah,
it's difficult to be married and studying, and you have to take care of the family. It becomes very difficult, or actually even working full time. I think it's an advantage to study before you are in commitment, maritally or work-wise. It's less complicated. So yeah, so you didn't make it, and the balancing didn't work for you.
yeah.
So at that time. But when you look back, maybe for people who might be going to UNISA, because even though you're not selected, I think it's still a huge achievement. The fact that you got to the last stage. So for somebody who might be going
Yeah.
to UNISA this year, what advice can you give them?
Yeah, UNISA first day, it was group interviews the whole day.
Yeah. Or actually,
From
let me put it this way. Looking at what you did, for somebody going there, what advice can you give them that you think can help them proceed as well?
uh, I think that it, the group interviews play quite a contributor role, because after those group interviews, you go straight into writing an assessment, and after that, straight into final. So that first day at UNISA is quite important.
Mm.
So I went in with a strategy that, what, it's four group interviews. Each of them is 1 hour. It's different panel members per panel group. So we were about 13 in the group. So what I did first is to speak first. I spoke. That's the first thing I did. First interview in the morning around 8:30. I was the first person to speak. There was
Yeah.
even this guy who said to me, after our first interview, he said to me, "Look, man, thank you so much, man. You carried us during that." I said, "Yeah, that is what you want to do."
Yeah.
And yeah, speak first during the first interview, and then the second interview.
That if you've got something to say.
That's something to say, of course. Doctor. I feel like you see that strategy of speaking first. It affected me at SMU, but
Yes.
we'll get to that. It
Yeah.
worked somewhere, but somewhere else it did not work. So I think you must understand the question. That's what
Yes.
affected me at SMU, that I did not fully understand this question, and I wanted to go for it first because it was just quiet. And I thought,
And
I first,
you didn't want them to bounce on it.
no, but no,
I think the strategy should be only when you understand the question clearly and you
yeah,
feel your contribution can be impactful, speak first. If you are still not sure, pause a bit, maybe be the second or the third.
yeah.
Don't just jump if you have no clue. But make sure you don't wait until the end before they start to show leadership skill through you.
Yeah, I fully agree, Dr. T. When you have a contribution that you think will be meaningful,
Yeah.
contribute. I mean, some of the questions is, what is your thoughts on, a particular subject,
Mm,
What is your thought on kidnapping?
mm,
You can take that on first time because it's an issue that's currently affecting, South Africa,
yeah. And
We,
it's not
we
complex. You can speak about it. Anybody can take it. Yeah.
you know, if it's a straight question, then you can take it on. So what I did was I thought, let me balance this. In the first session, I will speak first. In the second session, I won't speak first. In the third session, I will speak first. In the
Yeah.
fourth session, I won't speak first.
Yeah.
So that there are panel members who say, no, this guy is a good leader, he spoke first. And then there are those who say, no, he waited for his time and then he made that
Mm.
meaningful contribution. So I wanted, that dynamic of saying, no,
You were very strategic.
let me strategize here because they are going to walk over me at times. And yeah, I had that strategy for group interviews. I had to, have a strategy to, reflect on what other people said. Say perhaps I speak
Mm,
first and then allow everyone else to speak. When it comes back to me, I acknowledge what people said,
mm,
Um, I would tell someone that, what you said was quite important,
mm,
just to show that, I was listening to this person and I think that what they said is quite important,
mm,
And what I want to add is, just after reflecting on perhaps what the other members have already, because you had your first say, they are also going to speak and then you can reflect on more of what they said. And then, the
mm,
session would go. It's either during that 1 hour, we were so many, Dr. T, in the panel group that you could only speak 3 times maximum if you are allowing other people to speak and all of that.
mm,
Sometimes you'd speak twice because perhaps someone was, being asked direct questions and all of
mm,
that. So you really get 2 chances to speak or 3 chances to speak, and you have to make it impactful, whether or not
mm,
you are the first to speak, but it must
mm.
be impactful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Continue. Yes.
yes, at UNISA, in my third interview, I meet Dr. Tsebe.
Mm.
The
Oh.
other Dr. I was like, what's going on? What is she doing here? She's from the channel. She's a panel member. You know, I know your story. I wanted to tell her that, I know your story. pick me, you know.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I met Dr. Tsebe. She was one of the panel members, you know. Excited in that session, but I have to remember that no, you are here for this. You're here to meet Dr. Tsebe and say you know her, you love
You're
her
not there
story.
for that.
She doesn't even know me. So it was quite an experience, Dr. T. You know, say it was an experience and a half, you know, meeting Dr. Tsebe. And I always thought to myself that, you know, I look up to people from the channel. You know, they inspire me a lot. You know, them having come here and spoken to me. You know, her role and influence in sports psychology and all. So I was quite, you know, passionate, and I knew, you know, her story and perhaps what she's into. And then during the session, you know, obviously she doesn't know you. It will just be a normal session like any other panel member, you know. So it's just I knew her and I was excited.
Well, when you finish, you didn't say, "Hey, I know you from the channel." Well, like, let me hold myself before I get excluded.
Yeah, they might exclude me here if I say I know panel members.
So that, yes, continue.
That first day it was group interviews. So I think group interviews, you must just have a strategy. Don't speak less, don't speak more. Just keep
Have a
it,
balance.
have a balance, you know. And you know, we learn through our sessions, you know. There are difficult questions that panel members like to ask. And some of those questions are posed to us in M1. So you can imagine if they are posing this in class and they come to pose it in selections. It's not, you know, something that you can easily take on, you know. And it can be quite difficult because these questions really want you to think. And in interviews, you have to think in the there and now and say, this is what I think. Whereas we can take time to reflect on it, decide tomorrow in class, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite challenging, Dr. T. I think the first day at UNISA is the most important day, as I mentioned, you know.
Yeah.
Just have a strategy, you know, don't be intimidated by psychometrists, social workers,
People's
doctors.
background, basically, generally.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, just learn through your experiences. And if a difficult question is posed, I remember some difficult questions, they would go the other way and not to me, and I would be so happy that this question didn't come to me. But if it there comes to me, what am I going to say? You know, that's what I was thinking about. That's what was, you know, important.
Yeah.
And I analyzed perhaps how did that person answer it? You know, was it a good way to answer it? One of the difficult questions they like asking for me, it's who do you think performed the worst in the group? You know,
Yeah.
or who would you not like to work with in the future?
In
You
the group.
in the group, and you just met these people, you know, you don't have an opinion on whether you'd love to work with them in the future, but who do you think performed the worst in the group? And that question, yeah, it never came to me, Dr. T. It always went the other way. And I would hear people trying to, you know, to wing it, to you know, not sound disrespectful to, you know, to the other person. And that is what I learned from some such questions, that you really have to give them constructive criticism and not judge them, but provide them feedback in a way that will also help them. And yeah, that question has always been challenging for me. And yeah, till today, I don't want to see that question.
So, because you have raised it, so if somebody comes with it, what advice will you give them on how to answer it?
Yeah, I think that when you answer it, I don't think you must jump the gun. Really take your time to think. And, you may also acknowledge your group members that, I want to answer this question, but it's quite challenging, acknowledging that the question is challenging. And when you pick someone and say, I think you are the one that performed worst in the group, you must have a reason along the lines of giving him constructive feedback. I think that you spoke less than everyone else in the group, or perhaps we could have learned more from you. And I don't think that necessarily I wouldn't want to work with you in the future, but I think in this session and in the here and now, and of course you don't know that person, acknowledge all of this, really try to put it in a way that is receivable, they can chest it. Because sometimes in sessions, okay, the panel members don't care, they can just say something that you can't chest.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Panel
No, you're
members,
right. I think what I'm gathering from you, first you need to be very attentive to ensure that whatever feedback you give is constructive and it's honest. You can't say to a person you didn't speak much, while the person was the most spoken person. But I think you also need to, I like the words you are using, that you need to say it in the way that they can chest it. So in other words, you are not saying, because you are right, I think you need to acknowledge that I just met everybody today. I think it's too early to make any conclusive statement. However, given the experience of today, I think I might have a challenge working with. I think make it a challenge than a conclusive statement. I think
yeah,
I would have had a challenge to work with her if this was a session that would have had to contribute to our work, mainly because she spoke less, you know,
yeah,
because obviously if you are working as a team, her input or his input would have been more valuable. And
yeah,
and lack of contribution, I think for me, disadvantage her and will have disadvantage the group. I think at this point, you need to acknowledge at this point, I don't think it will be conclusive, but just to note the challenge I will have had. You just leave it there, but I think note the challenge that will have occurred. Because I think these questions are also tricky to see how quick are you to come to judgment without fully informing. Because I think in that process also you need to acknowledge that I do acknowledge that interviews are not easy. Perhaps this is not new. Given time, probably maybe my perception might also change. I think the minute they hear that not only are you constructive about what they've done, you have heard them, you acknowledge the challenge of the current context. It says a lot about you as an individual. So, and I do agree. I think those are very tricky questions. You need to really answer them with insight, but with careness on how you approach them. Otherwise, they can actually be the deal breaker for you as well. Do you are selected or not?
yes.
So yes, so you went to the UNISA, you never got selected, and I'm glad with the reflection that you gave. Tell me, at the point you went to UNISA, did you have any other invite, or was UNISA the only one when they rejected you?
While I was at UNISA, I think it was Wednesday,
Yeah.
I got an interview for SMU. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday that I got an interview for SMU. So I went to the final panel already having had an interview scheduled for SMU, but I did not want that to affect me. I wanted to pretend as if I don't have any other interviews. This is my one and only chance.
So the
And
interview was not scheduled the same time, it was scheduled for later though. So they were not
yeah,
clashes. Okay.
Yeah, they were not listening. I think it was for about a month later or maybe a few weeks later, SMU. Yeah, so it was the second university I went to.
So basically, even though you were not selected and you were not happy, so there was a consolation because there was SMU coming.
Yeah.
And how did that go, the SMU one?
SMU, it went well the first day. I got invited to the second day, and that second day is when I did not progress to the third day. I think it was a 4 days selections.
Yes.
So I only got in for the first 2 days, and yeah, also an experience and a half at SMU because they also love group interviews. So I brought my UNISA experience in, but on the second day, that is when I got eliminated, and I think I understand why. After having reflected on that second day.
Why? Why did you not get selected? Pella, we are going there. We want to know what makes people not to be selected. You can't leave us hanging. Say, no, no, no. Dr. Tigenu, please call the guy to explain why.
No, I think the first day went well. I understood the question. I went for it. I spoke first, gave other people the chance to speak, spoke after, and it went as planned. And the second day, the activity that they made us do. So there was an activity that we did where you you select items on the table. So they'll put multiple items on the table, and you have to select the item and sit down. When you walk in the room, you select the item, you sit down. So you don't know why am I selecting an item?
Yes.
When you walked in, they just say take an item. They said what that best represents you. So there was a lot of items on the table. So I decided that, what, out of all these items, let me take the remote.
Okay.
The remote controller, there was 10 rand, there was rubber band, there was a lot of items. So I
I
said,
love rubber. I would have taken rubber band. I would have taken rubber band, my man.
I don't know what am I going to.
Flexibility.
And when you do this, you are reminding me.
Adaptability.
So there
But
was
didn't you watch the video with Tiro? Where he spoke about when he entered the UFs, they had to give them some artifacts or they were images.
Tiro. I listened to Tiro, the one at UFS.
Yes.
I
I think
listened
he
to
also spoke
him.
about it.
No, I think that activity was not expected,
Is
and
it?
they don't tell you what to expect. They just say,
So they didn't tell
come.
you that pick something that best represent you.
Yes, that is what they said to us. Pick something that best represents you.
You
Yeah.
must understand, every time you hear pick anything that best represent you, you have to say how it best represent you.
Yeah.
So if you pick
So
a remote, you must
I
tell
picked a
us
remote,
how do you relate to a remote?
and it was DSTV remote, So okay, how am I going to win this one? So I thought, the things that I had said to the panel, I feel like perhaps I did not reflect much on the remote, why I'm better represented as a remote. I spoke first again in the session, but I spoke in a
So
brief
tell
manner.
me, so when you took the remote, in your mind, you just thought the remote represent you, but you didn't have anything that we're going to say about the remote.
Yeah, I did not have anything I was going to say. I was thinking of like having control. I was just thinking of that, having
Yeah.
control over, my own life. And that's how
Ah.
I stick to the panel. You know, I told the panel that, you know, it best represents me because I love to be in charge of
Control. Ah.
all, and, you know,
At least you tried. At least you tried. They,
I tried, you know, but then
mm,
what I did not touch on that I feel like was important when it comes to a remote is the
mm.
batteries, Dr. T. The batteries. A remote can work without the batteries.
Yeah.
So this means that perhaps I should have reflected on what are my batteries? What's making me work? You know, what are some of my support structures? You know, that's leading me not to, you know, break down, go into, you know,
Yeah.
certain places that I wouldn't want to. You know, what's helping me, you know, could
No, no,
have
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think you see, with the artifacts, it's the most I think it's the most challenging. I was lucky at
yeah.
UP, we started interviews from honors. And
Mm,
from that time, artifacts were common. I mean, I was from social, I didn't even know what was artifact. They said from artifact, they were still asking guys, what is an artifact? You know, all the white guys, they knew what's an artifact, what they could bring something. You're still thinking.
yeah.
I don't have anything that represents me. Me, I know how to hustle.
It
But
was it
it's
was quite tough, Dr. T.
yeah, no, no, it's the most. But what I would advise people is knowing now that that is possible question, always, and I'll advise people to watch Tiro. I don't know if he went into details of the artifacts, because I don't think we went into them, and I wouldn't encourage us to reveal everything that was there because sometimes, maybe they want to use them again. But
Yeah.
always think about yourself when you go to an interview. Think about the possibility that there might be artifacts that you have to choose. So think about, if let's say there's a picture, which one will you choose? What kind of a picture, what kind of an artifact? Because if let's say, for example, you have got a flower, then there's a tree, for example, then you can improvise and take the tree. But if you have no clue, you are just blank, you are going to come up with a speech there, or your relationship with that artifact. It might be very difficult. Always think of different things that can possibly be there, whether it's a gate, whether it's a mirror. Think about what psychologists will like. It can be a mirror, it can be a gate, it can be a rubber band, it can be. Think about that. So when you get in there, you know what options you are looking at, you know?
Yeah.
And but I think you need to always think about what is the thing that you want to talk about, because I can take
Mm,
the remote, speak about control. Somebody can take the remote and speak about the different colors,
mm,
variety, whatever. So if you know what you want to talk about, it's easy to relate it with any similar artifact, because you can't always know all the artifacts that are going to be there. It's not possible. You can get there, they've got a couch, they've got a chair, they've got a table, they've got money, they've got whatever. But you should be flexible to work with any artifact that is there, but still stick to your story that you plan to speak about. I think I tell people that think around what you want to say before you get there and work it around whatever artifacts that are there. But obviously, if you are stuck now, you get there and you only realize
yeah.
you have to win it. You have to
Yeah.
win it. Yeah,
I
you have
think
to
that
win.
really quite powerful what you just mentioned, Dr. T, that you must think around artifacts. You know, I think I went into that interview without having thought of artifacts. I think perhaps I did not hear that part with Tira. Tiro.
Hero, yes.
Um, so I went in and I tried to win it, you know,
Yeah.
and there were also challenging questions from the panel that came to me direct. I think the panel members saw that it was the same panel as the previous day. I think
Yeah.
that they saw that no, this boy is speaking first. Let's hear him. Let's go for him in here. why did he choose the remote? So they started to ask, that is an old remote. There is a new DSTV remote now. The panel was saying that because they were using the small remote, not the Explorer one.
Yeah.
And, they were asking me also questions around sales. How would I then sell that old remote? Whereas there's a new remote, what would I do in that situation? So I'm thinking, why am I being asked sales questions? Am I going to sell this remote? So I had to wing that one as well. Just, try to answer it in a manner that won't show that perhaps I will force the person to buy the remote. I wanted to show that I won't force a person to buy the remote. And then they asked me, if your colleague sold that remote, what would you think? Because you couldn't sell it. What would you think? So I told them that, no, this is my colleague. I mean, we are working towards the same step. I would, in fact, be happy for him, that, wow, we made a sale. And sales is more
Yeah.
about, what you do as a team. Yes, the commissions come individually, but it's more about meeting the target, the team's target. So, yeah, just I'll be happy, and I'll be happy for my colleague in that instance. And then, yeah, it ended like that, the session. There was also someone in the group who was also being cross-examined, if I can put it that way. Yeah, they come to you and they ask you 3 questions in a row where you have to, it's like an individual interview in a group setting.
Yes.
So you really have to watch out for those that perhaps they might come for something that you said. So always have, reasons for perhaps why you said something.
Tell me, when you had the artifacts, how many were you in that group, and were the artifacts enough for all of you?
Yeah, the artifacts were enough for all of us. I think we were about 12
Yeah.
in the group. And the guy who took the rubber band stood out for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I will have gone for a rubber band, man. That one is not an I will have won because I mean, yeah, I will have went for a rubber band.
Yeah, he selected a rubber band. He stood out, and he was telling us his story while this. That's why I did this, because he was just telling me he was just telling the panel how difficult life can be, and his experiences, how he had to adapt, and
Mm,
some of the pressures that he had
yeah,
faced while in high school. And I thought, okay, wow,
they
we
took
learn.
rubber band.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, I should have taken the rubber band. Because you feel like, I feel like this boy story, I feel like I should make it mine. It's so
Yeah.
similar to my story.
Only that you had a remote.
Yeah, only is that I have a remote here. SMU.
I'm saying
SMU.
it's also about flexibility, change. You can change channels, options in life. That's what I'm saying. It's not, artifact is one thing. If I mean, for example, animal, even when you get there, you must think about the animal that, if animals are there, which one will you choose? And but have your story, because like I'm telling you, this one speaks about a flexibility, adaptability, and all that. Rubber band does it. And one can take the remote and still narrate the same story, only
Yeah.
refer to certain things. I mean, you can go there and say, I'm very energetic. We have the
Mm,
remote, but we're speaking about the battery that energize
mm,
this. You are only speaking about the battery. You're not speaking, this can't work without the battery. you know. So it's and I like what you said. You need to plan. You need to, with psychology, it's a mind, it's a mind course. and selection is a mind game. So if you are not ready mentally and preempt where they will go, you might struggle. Don't go there, say, I will just see when I get there. You are going to suffer. People are going to be
Yeah.
bouncing you, showing off their leadership skill. You must have a plan when you go there. And what I'm seeing with you from the previous years is a strategy, an approach. I'm gonna speak
Mm.
first. I'm gonna do that. This one I'm gonna speak second or last or later. You know, you had a plan, you had a strategy. You're not just going there and say, no, I will see how I will go with the flow. You had a plan, you
Yeah.
go there strategically. You are not surprised and you want to speak first. It's a plan that you have, you know. I mean, I think you might have had people whom I interviewed who said they couldn't speak.
Yeah. It
Because
happens.
nobody's gonna ask, speak on your behalf. You need to speak,
Mm.
you know. But I like that. And the reflection as well at SMU. And I agree, can affect you, particularly when you wing things. We don't, you know, that's why you prepare. You prepare so that you don't rely on winging everything that you come across. It will happen. You are going to come across things you don't know, you have not prepared for, but they should be limited, you
Yeah.
know, or you should be able to use what you planned to apply it to the things that you didn't plan, so that you are
Mm.
everything is not just a surprise to you. You are like, oh, wait, we are winning everything. You are not going to make it. It's going to be very difficult. So yes, you didn't get it to SMU, and at the time now you got to know about SMU rejection. Did you have any other invite?
By the time I got the SMU rejection, I had not gotten any invites.
Yeah.
I think it was only after that UJ invited me again, and UP also sent an invite around the same times. I remember their interviews were about 2 weeks apart or something like that. So
So I can imagine the devastation after not being selected at SMU. What was going on in your mind at the time?
yeah, I was quite disappointed in myself, because I thought I went until fourth day at UNISA. Perhaps SMU I'm going to get in, you know. And I think that was a sort of a wrong mentality to go about things. So as I went through the selection and I learned from other people's experiences who've said, I was invited last year, but the following year not invited. Like the gentleman that was here on the channel, your previous guest, I just forgot his name. But he mentioned that he was invited at Rhodes, but the following year he was not. So it
Mm.
tells you, sometimes you can go all the way up to fourth stage, and then the next year you just exit first stage, and this is confusing, Doctor. It causes a lot of confusion because you think that you had a chance at another
Mm.
university just because you made it to fourth round at UNISA. It didn't guarantee me anything, and I thought perhaps this is it's a step in the right direction, yes, but it won't necessarily affect my progress at SMU or any other universities.
Yeah, look, I mean, I tell people selection is not a linear process that if you got selected here, you are going to be selected here, or if you
Mm.
made it further here. And that is why I encourage people to apply everywhere. That is why
Yeah.
most of the time you find people who get selected in a particular year, they got rejected somewhere, or they never even got invited anywhere, but they still
Mm.
get selected in that particular year because it depends. It always depends on where your luck, if I might put it that way, will be. And in your case, it was not at UNISA, it was not at SMU, you know.
Mm.
So it happens like that. You just apply everywhere. There's no, and I read a very nice article this week from somebody speaking about, I think the person was writing about PhD and master's examination and was
Mm.
querying whether was querying the issue about their standardization. So he was basically saying that we actually have a standardization issue, because you can have a student being failed by an examiner or getting 50 from one examiner and getting 70 from another, but the PhD or the document is the same. How could it be that here you are getting 50, here you are getting 70? And I think it's the same with the master's process. It's not standardized. That is why here you can make the final list. Here you are not even invited, because there are no
Yeah.
standard process on how it should be done. So you need to put your application everywhere because of that.
And it's reminding me of something, Dr. T, that I mentioned to one of the candidates while I was at UNISA, So in between our sessions, we went to go and get water. And I said something to her, and she was so shocked to hear this, and it's from the channel. I said to her, you can be the right candidate, but at the wrong university.
Yeah.
She's like, what is this guy talking about? It's not possible. It's not possible. That was, her reaction. And I said,
Yeah.
that happens, you might find that they're looking for you somewhere else, not here.
Yeah.
So
You are at SMU, they're looking for you at UP.
yeah. So I said that to her, that this
Yeah.
happens, and it's like a light bulb moment to her where she said, what do you mean I can be right, but not for here? So meaning I can be right for elsewhere and not here. How do you then measure that and say these are both programs, And I said to her that no, it's about what they want. Sometimes you might find that they did not accept you because they had to balance the
Like they
ethnicity.
did it in Lisa. You were not
you know,
balancing enough.
it's not personal. Sometimes they tell you, even I remember our debriefing at UNISA. They said, you guys have so much potential. It's not personal, this thing that we are telling you guys that you did not get accepted. And the ladies were crying there, and they stressed me even more, when they started crying. And I decided that, I'm leaving. After the debriefing was, I think it was about 10 minutes or 20, yeah, debriefing. After that, I just left, because what else am I waiting for? I was pissed and everything. So, yeah.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine. But at least now you had, after SMU, you had invite to UJ.
Yeah.
But then UJ, you are going for the second time. It's the same program. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you were confident that now I'm coming with experience.
Hey, Dr. T. Like you mentioned, it doesn't work that way. You can be as confident as you want,
Yeah.
just don't be overconfident. Just be confident in yourself. And I went to UJ having revised the questions I had last year. So what's important to do is just write down all the questions they ask you in group interviews or in individual interviews, because you never know if you're going back there next year. And, they repeat questions, and, so it's always good to write down the question they asked and how you answered it, just to write it down in a journal or something, so that you reflect on this. Say, some of these answers were incorrect for me to put it in this fashion. Maybe maybe I can answer it in this fashion. And yeah, I went to UJ, and I think I don't know what happened. Why did they not call me back? It's confusing, because we went through the same process. Perhaps what I did was, that stood out for me, is that Dr. T, I brought in something in the session that I had not spoken about in my autobio. So it's, saying new things in the session. And panel members have your auto bio in front of them. And sometimes when you speak about something different, they can ask that, why didn't you, if it's so
Add this.
important, why didn't you speak about this, So I feel like that might have affected me, that I spoke about something that was not in my auto bio. And it's important to reread the auto bio, more especially going into individual interviews. Read that story that you wrote again about yourself, because they want that story. Sometimes you go there and you present another person. It's like that saying also from the channel that just go there and show them that you are the person that they read about.
Show them you're the right person, the one they invited.
It's me. I'm the one that said that speak about that. And don't bring any new information. I think that's what affected me. That I tried to bring in new information that I thought would be significant. Why? I don't know, So perhaps stick to what you wrote, because we can write, Dr. T. Some auto bios of people that are invited, wow. When you read them and you say, wow, this person, if they can come here and speak the same thing and say the same things that they wrote, not say different things. You wrote about your father, but when you go to the session, you speak about your mother.
But I like that. I think because you see, selection is just a snippet of you. It's not the whole of you. And you need to keep your stories. Like going to court, you need to have your evidence and stick to your evidence. Don't go around and adding new things unnecessary. And I totally agree with you. And I tell people, read your autobio before you go there, so that if they ask you about it, you can expand, but still be consistent. You don't want to go then contradict your your autobio as if you lied to try to impress them. So I totally agree with that. You need to really read. So in from what I'm hearing from you, beside that, you feel like you did well. You can't actually tell Gashe Gashe what led you not being selected at that side.
Yeah. I honestly couldn't, I thought maybe this stands out that I spoke about something that's, that was not in my auto bio. And I was passionate about that. I was bringing.
No, continue.
Yes, I was, speaking about it passionately, and the panel members said, but this is not in your auto bio. You did not speak about this, and it seems to be quite important to you. So they caught me out there. I had to explain now, why did you not include this now?
And I think that's what affect you, because now in your mind you start to think you now I've messed up now, and psychologically you start to underperform, because while you are answering, you are also starting to be concerned what this implies for the selection. So you might find those things, they do have an effect on how you get affected. But tell me then, so when you got the feedback from UJ, did you have any other invite at the UP one, or it only came later?
I think it only came later. I think it only came later that I got the invite, and it was after I've gotten all of the other rejections from my other universities that I applied for, like I mentioned. So it was clear that this is your last interview for the year, and I had to now sit down and say, you know what, it's either they make or break you, and they're definitely making a psychologist out of you. So that was UP. That was my first counseling my first counseling interview.
Mm.
So yeah, I went there, I read my story. The first interview was online.
Tell me,
Um,
because I can just imagine after getting rejected at 3 universities, you go home, you regret, and you remember that you didn't have an invite. Then one came, then you blew it, and then another came, you blew it. I'm sure when this one comes now, when you say you sit down, you have to now come up with a strategy now. How do you
yeah.
make it work? So what went into your planning this time now?
Yeah, no. UP. Yeah. What a session, man. What a session. I'm documenting life from Hatfield campus. Psychology. Dr. T, psychology. Yo. Yeah, no. Decided to go for counseling this time. But, yeah, good experience, man. Hopefully they will call me back for the final panel. So, yeah. Wish me luck.
What was different in how you approach the UP one?
I'm not quite sure, but I think it was the same planning, preparing for group interviews,
Mm.
because I knew that I'm going for a group interview.
Mm.
So I started with an individual interview, then group interview, and then so forth. So I started to prepare for the individual alone.
Mm.
Since it was online, I thought, I'm going to take advantage of this and make it quite personal.
Mm.
I want to make psychology quite personal to me and my story. When they ask me, why did I choose counseling? I'm
Mm.
going to speak about my upbringing. I'm going to
Mm.
speak about, adjustment difficulties or challenges. I'm not going to bring up anything new. I'm not bringing up anything new. And I'm going to give a good thought to the questions, not answer them jumping the gun, but thinking about it, all those facial expressions of, processing information.
Mm.
And yeah, I did that individual interview. I remember it was on a Friday. It was 2 panel members who were, speaking to me about my experiences and psychometry. They went into psychometry a lot. I think they
Mm.
loved it. I'm a psychometrist, but they wanted to catch me out with the psychometry because they want to see my competence in what I'm doing as a psychometrist.
Mm.
So they were asking me about diagnosis, things
Mm.
that are not in my scope.
Yes, to see if you understand the school. So I think what they're
Yes.
doing, and this is one thing I tell people, they're not always going to ask you everything directly. So what they're basically checking, do you understand the difference between the psychometry and psychology scope of practice? Indirectly so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indirectly. So I remember one of the panel members asking, which projectives have I delved
Done.
into? And I knew that she's catching me out because we are not allowed to do projectives.
Yeah.
She's asking, which projectives have I dabbled into? In fact, she said, which projectives or personality
Mm.
tests have I dabbled into? So I knew that there are certain personality tests that are specifically for diagnosis or
Mm.
those that, as psychometrists, we can't use,
JPQ you can use, for example, but yeah, you can't
APQ.
use projective media.
Yeah, I think it's them trying to see whether I understand
Yes.
my scope.
Yes.
So they're asking me about projectives. I told them that I've never done a projective because it is not in my scope. And in terms of personality assessment, I did not get that much exposure to personality
Mm.
assessment because I was at the Department of Education, and
Mm.
we were working with school going learners. So it's hard. You hardly do personality on on grade fives or anyone younger, you know, because the personality has to develop. And, you know, I told them that, you know, I've never really went into personality tests mainly because of that. We only did IQ tests, scholastic assessments, you know, and just reporting for things like placement into special schools through the IQ assessment. The IQ would give you everything you need. And, you know, the psychologist would then do the therapy for the child. I would do the assessing. So I think, yeah, working there also in the Department of Education, it just sparked my interest to say, you know, you are not touching on the emotional side, and it's one aspect I would have to touch on. The experiences of desperate mothers who want you to help their child and say, what can you do to help my child? And remember, I can only assess. Can you support this child long term? So that sparked more of my interest, you know, and I was working under a counseling psychologist. Yeah, majority of the psychologists there were educational and counseling. So there was one clinical. So yeah, it's just that space that motivated me to go into studying masters. You know, they helped me a lot with my referees as well, the referee reports. So yeah, I think that I had to motivate myself in one way or another going into UP, which was my last one. I had to pray. I had to tell myself that, you know, it's not yet done with you. I mean, you have a chance to go in and make it. So psychology it's quite lonely, Dr. T. You don't get motivation much, you know. So
But I
it's peak.
motivate you online.
Yeah, it's online.
It's just that you watch me while you are sleepy. You watch me when I'm sleeping. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a very lonely journey.
Yeah, it's quite a lonely journey. So I had to pick up inspiration from, you know, people that are already in the program. You know, talking to Arnold, saying, "Man, you know, this is my last. Can we do a WhatsApp call or something?" You know, I need I need someone to, you know, talk to me.
Yeah,
So yeah, I tried. I reached out. I think that 25, the year 2025 was all about that, you know, me
yeah.
reaching out to people on LinkedIn, Bo Tabang, who was also on the channel, I remember. And he also
Taka.
has, yes,
Is it? Wow, 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 wow.
so watched his channel. I think he has a channel that he
Yes.
pushes on his own. I also got to, you know, see his channel and hear more about his experiences. You know,
Yeah.
he invited a lot of people. Even Dr. Tsebe was there on his channel. I remember. Um, but Dr. Komitsi at UJ.
Yes.
Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
So I had to grab that inspiration and go to UP with a clear mindset that, you know, leave everything that happened, the rejection and everything. They don't matter in this session. I mean, they don't know that you even got rejected. They don't know you these people.
Yeah. Look, yeah, and I think that's very important because what you are saying basically is you had to clear your mind of all the rejection. But what I get a lot is that you had to sort of be more composed and be intentional about your approach. You know, I like what you said, you know, even the facial expression, like you're very intentional to pause and to reflect and to think about the question, not just to speak, you know, to really make sure you understand what they're asking of you. but also to make it more authentic, more personal, because sometimes we become so detached about what we're talking about that they can see through that. But you took it more personal, to own it, to make it your own. And I think maybe also the fact that you had a lot of counselors working with you for support, also that helped. Because I usually tell people, reach out as well. Don't be in your own cocoon and you are dying alone there, getting rejection left, right. Reach out to people. I mean, I spoke to you more than almost most people I speak to on LinkedIn when I looked at your message from 2023, and it helps to reach out and to speak to people. Because I mean, look, you are here now after all those rejection, and now you are selected as a master student in counseling psychology at UP. How does it feel?
Eh, there was a lot of disbelief, Dr.
Yeah,
T. I remember when the email came that I've been selected,
yeah.
Yeah, the disbelief, man. I went to the final panel and expected something. But when it came, I remember I was having a conversation with someone
Uh,
and my phone rang and I checked the email and it just showed reply acceptance letter. Before I open it and go into the attachment, I just saw it saying acceptance letter on top. Whatever this guy was speaking about in front of me, I don't even remember what this guy was saying.
wow.
And I said, why? I went through it. I said, my man, please wait. We'll continue this right now. Let me just check this.
Mm.
So I checked it and Dr. T, I screamed
Wow.
so loud. First speech. Bro, my phone almost fell. And all of, I the disbelief, Doctor. I remember I texted you 3 days
Yeah,
after or 5 days after. When I
yeah.
remembered that, actually, who helped you in this process? Don't forget someone.
Ah,
I'm texting Dr. D. I'm texting him. Yo,
I was reading your email say evening, doctor. Evening. So which means this thing came what time at night? 8:57 at night. I hope
eh,
you are well. I personally wanted to thank you abundantly for the support through your channel. Today I'm accepted into the counseling psychology at UP. I'm really over the moon. And remember all the sleepless nights watching your channel. You must say sleeping while watching the channel. The channel really helped me. Oh, there's this part which made me laugh. You inspired me, and the humor also made it fun when you laugh. I even started speaking like you in my interviews. What did you mean by that? Because I was laughing when I read this.
what did I mean by that? No, Dr. T, man, you answer a lot of questions that are asked
Yeah,
in selection.
is it?
Um,
Wow.
you ask a lot of questions that you answer them as well that are asked in selections. I know in your book,
Yeah.
you speak about all of these questions, and I love your Q&A session where you are
Mm,
speaking about your book. You are giving us a glimpse of
mm.
of of your book, and I remember you were drinking a coffee in that video.
Yes,
It
yes,
is one
yes.
of my favorite videos
I remember
where
it very well.
yes, where you are speaking about the questions to expect. So some
Yeah.
of those
That when
questions,
you enter the selection, put your marks aside.
yes, put those marks aside, and all of the advice that I got,
Yeah.
some of the questions you'd hear that no, actually Dr. T answered this question. Why must I divert from his answer? Why not use his answer? I mean, his answer makes sense.
I won't be with you. I won't be within the selection. So they can't say no. Somebody has answered it.
Yes, they can't say no, no, that's Dr. T's opinion. No, they can't do that. you know.
Yeah.
I remember a question on research. What research are you interested in? You advise that you don't say, no, I was waiting to get into masters. So I knew that I will avoid this by all means. If they ask
Yeah.
me about research, I will speak to my research interest, and not say that, I was waiting for masters. And another one that stood out for me, Dr. T, is which theoretical modality do you mostly align with?
Align. Yes.
Not necessarily therapeutic, but theoretical. And you
Yes.
spoke about Alfred Adler, the Adlerian
Yes.
theory.
Yes.
I said, oh, okay, Adler. Speaking about the different roles, between your
Siblings.
sisters,
Yes.
and that you couldn't play soccer because you had to take care of
Yes.
your younger
My
brother.
brother. Yes.
And I thought, no, I'm taking care of my younger sister as well.
So it's
it, it,
alive.
it applies, it's aligning, and I have a little sister whom I also, growing up had to take care of and avoid certain things or even fetch her from school if I need to. So I thought, no, man, me and Dr. T
We're
have a
aligned.
similar, upbringing. I can bring up the Alderian theory and use my
Yes.
story in it. So, yeah,
Wow.
Dr. you really answer a lot of those questions that I asked.
Wow, wow, wow. No, that's great, man. And I totally agree. Why try to carve your own path when there's already a road? You want to now make your own road while everything is there. You need to keep it simple. You don't have the whole year to prepare. If
Mm.
answers are available that you can use and personalize it, why not? I mean, look, you
Yeah.
are here. There are people who are trying to make their own route and they're not selected.
Yeah.
No, Kamo, thank you so much, man. This is very inspiring. And I'm so happy for you, man. It has been a journey and a half. I mean, after so many applications and trial and error, you are here today. And I've learned a lot. I think most people, today it's what? I think we are in April. So people are starting to apply. So I think this video needs to come out as soon as possible because I think you throw a lot of insightful information. I will really push myself. But maybe before we go off, any words of advice for, I mean, and the good thing is that you have applied, you have been rejected. Any words of advice to those who might be applying this year, who have maybe they are new to the application, you were new before, what words of advice can you give them? Or they've been rejected and they're coming for the second time. You did the same as well after you got rejected at UJ. What words can you give them? And those who want to give up, we still have people who really want to give up after one or two selection. They've not even tried to compete with Arnold with 10 applications. They've applied to one or two, they want to give up. They've not applied. They've not started to apply. If you have applied once or two, you have not applied.
Yeah.
What words of advice can you give them?
I think that with master's applications, you need to start early. April right now, we are already late a bit, but I
Mm,
think it's a good time to start. Take your time with the autobiographies because they are quite important. Because after marks, we are going straight to autobio. So taking your time with that, ensuring that there is no simple things like spelling mistakes,
mm,
ensuring a flow in your autobio, while you take more time with your autobio, you get to learn more about this, that, okay, perhaps let me exclude this, let me include this. And I think that label and all, they really break down autobio in terms of how to write it. Just to
mm,
hear a sentence. Sometimes it's hard to start the autobio, Dr. T. It takes time to start, like literally to start it. I remember I was asking, how do I start? Do I say good day panel members? Or do I say, how do you start?
Yeah.
Because it plays a contributor role the way you start. Will it give the reader more, or that curiosity to want to read more about this? And yeah, label story is quite amazing. I mean, you can look at it and really just try to start, put a few elements there and there of perhaps your own experiences. So I think starting early helps, and reflecting on it as you go. Because you started early, you'll have more time to reflect. Reflect on a childhood experience that perhaps you would love to reflect on. Should it be it bullying, be it peer pressure, the common things that people experience,
And are related to psychology.
and are related to psychology, Um, even if it's perhaps a mental issue you've went through, or even a physical issue, doesn't necessarily have to be mental. How that has shaped you and how that has influenced you. You can use that, in your autobio. Use things like your family story. You can use some of, I remember Tiro with psychotic uncle. Quite a good, starter. A cousin who's faced depression, was in my story, and spoke about peer pressure that I faced. So it's some of the things that I've experienced and that I've spoken about that I'm mentioning, Dr. T. I think, yeah, if you start early, it gives you more time to reflect on these childhood experiences, your experience at varsity, answering maybe your why psychology questions. It's important for the autobio, and applying to as much as the most places, applying to a lot of places helps. I mean, yeah, it does a lot. I mean, you have 4 interviews, 4 chances. It's better than 1 chance, So the more the better. I think you should save money for this, because application fees can be quite taxing as well. Maybe saving in advance. I think if you save 1.5, you can do about 10, but it's going to be quite difficult as well. So I prioritized the free applications, but it was only 2. So it was UFS was free, and I think UNISA was free. So
Private.
yeah, I think UNISA was also free this time around. So how I approached it is I started with NW, mainly because NW wants 3-page autobiography. So if I have NW's autobio, 3 pages, I know UJ wants 1 page, someone 2 page. So I know where I'm going to take the information. If you start off with the 3 page for NW, then you know that, okay, you already have your life story, and you can use some of these sections in 2-page autobios for another university. Maybe you'll just exclude certain things. So it's always good to start with NW because it's the lengthy autobio.
Yeah. So 3 is the longest they want.
Yeah, 3 is the longest they want, and that is for NW. I remember you 2-page. The others is really 1 page, why psychology, 1 page, why counseling specifically. So that all comes from the autobio and sections of that. So if you can start with the 3-page for NW, it is a good start, because you would have done almost half the work.
Wow. Look, man, thank you so much. I know there's a lot I wanted to ask you as well about videos that you recommend, because we've been on the channel like a legend now, but I think you've covered that a lot in your talk. Any last words, anything that you want to say that we've not touched on, or we've touched on, you just want to emphasize before I let you go?
Yeah, I think blunders, Dr. T. I want to talk about these blunders, in sessions, how to, not let one blunder in one session affect your other sessions, thinking that, they said this yesterday, but I'm invited today. Perhaps they would go back to what I had said yesterday, and thinking that it would cause, these blunders in the sessions. Not answering the question correctly, I think it's also one of the blunders. And some panel members, when you answer it incorrectly, they just say, "Oh, okay," they move on. So you won't know that your answer was incorrect. They just move on. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to contribute? So I think it happens. I think we mustn't take selections also too personal, more especially if you know that, okay, I applied to a lot of universities. I think, yes, the journey is personal, the journey is personal. I don't want to lie. We all want to get into master's programs, and if it's not your time, then perhaps that it's not your time. I remember I told myself that if I don't get in at UP, which was my last university, what must I do? I must just apply again for the following year, and I was prepared to do that. I was prepared. I even told myself that, you know what, if I don't get in, I'm buying the book now, because now I need to sit now with this thing. Because yeah, man, I told myself I'm going to sacrifice. If I don't get in, I'm going to, so that's very important. If you don't get in, just tell yourself what you're going to do different and motivate yourself. I mean, it can be quite hard to get motivation in the field. Just motivate yourself, and go again.
No, Kamo, thank you so much, my man. I think this was very, very informative, and it's good to hear people who have really been in the journey for long, and also been part of the channel. And I mean, what you are sharing, man, it's very insightful. I think listening to it, knowing the process myself, I could hear when, and I usually tell people, interesting enough, almost people I interview or people who get selected, they have that intimate knowledge of the things that we share on the channel. They can tell you statements like, I mean, you were referring to the recent interview that I had when I think the one that I posted, was it last week?
Yeah, it was last week. Yeah.
When he said he was about to walk out of the
Yeah.
space. He was about to walk out. He remembered my statement. So, but almost every person I've interviewed, whether you go to Tiro, almost all of them, there's that intimate knowledge of what people share. And I think people need to make effort. It's your career, it's your future. People are coming here to share their journey. There's nothing special about them. I mean, we're all the same, But I think if you can make time to hear the stories and listen to them thoroughly, you should be able to make it, or at least make an impact in your selection. So let me end it there and encourage you that continue living life to the fullest. And I hope you enjoyed this interview.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. T.